Hi folks, Six Slices here. Sorry, I've not been around for a while. As many of you may or may not know, I get very much involved in politics. I'm a councillor in my county where I live, and I'm currently standing for the Scottish Parliament. And I don't want to make this political, so I'm not even going to tell you what party it's from, and you know, nothing like that. But in the run-up to the election, things are obviously very, very hectic, and that has to take priority. But as most of you, certainly my British audience, will know, the Duke of Edinburgh, His Royal Highness the Prince Philip, died on Friday, and so we have suspended campaigning for the weekend. So this is the Sunday, and we'll still be suspending campaigning tomorrow because both the Scottish and the British Parliaments have been recalled in order to allow people to express their condolences and eulogies and so forth for the Prince Philip. So I just thought I would try, because I've been asked by so many people, and I'm not going to name them all because there are too many of them and I'll miss somebody out, but I've asked by so many people to do a video, and because I haven't made one since before Christmas. I think the last ones came out right at the very beginning of January, but I haven't actually made a new video since Christmas. I'm sorry this is a bit shaky, but my dogs keep running up and down the corridor behind. They're very excited about something that the neighbours are doing, and I'm not sure what it is. But there we are. Anyway, I just wanted to I'll just do a quick run through of some of the things that I have picked up over the last few months. I'm not actively collecting, which this is not actively collecting. I hate to think what it'd be like if I get back to actively collecting. But I just run through a few of the bits and pieces that I've picked up. And I've just realised I haven't put out some of my new Sheffield pieces. These are just generally bits and pieces that I've picked up around the time. I'll just run through them quickly, and I will hopefully do videos on them all in due course. And this is a Rough Rider sous chef. There's a big chunk of a knife. It has a Santoku type blade, with the little cutouts to stop when you're slicing tomatoes and things from sticking to it. Now, I've been using this knife as my daily apple chopping knife, and it is a chunk of a thing. I mean, you certainly couldn't carry this in the UK. It's way too big. I think that's probably about a 4-inch blade or something like that. It's very thin and sharp, and it cuts nicely, and it's a nice, easy action to use. It's a lock back. But a relatively light action to use. It's quite easy. I think even I can probably open it on camera, just about. That's almost on camera. That's as close as you're going to get, I'm afraid. Afraid with this cold weather, my hand seize up worse than ever. Anyway, I'll put that down. Now, what else have we picked up along the way? Oh yeah, this one's quite special. I mean, the knife itself is not especially special. I mean, it's a nice knife. It's Kaiser. It's got a name, I can't remember. Oh, WPK, that's what it is. World pen knife? Don't know. I'm maybe making that up. I think it says 35 VN. Let me just check. Pretty sure it is. So I'll do these proper videos for these in due course, but I just haven't had time. I think it's S35VN. You can probably read it better than I can, because you have it on big screens and rather than just in a viewfinder of an iPhone. It's not really it's sort of a friction locker, but it's one of these ones with a double detent, but it does have the friction knife style of extended tang, which makes it quite safe to use. Also, it can be nice and sharp out the box. But the best thing about this knife is it was sent to me by a chap called Jason Guilfoyle. Now, Jason doesn't do YouTube, but he does have an Instagram channel, and he has an amazing collection of fantastic knives. And he sent over the Alicia Isham I can't remember what it's called, but a little friction folder. He sent one over for knife slicers, and in the package he also sent this along and asked him to forward it to me, and it came with all the packaging, you know, the little pouch and the box and everything else, which was a extremely generous gift. Came completely out of the blue. He didn't even tell me who'd sent it. It just arrived in a box. So with a little note saying he'd sent it. So it was really, really nice of him. You know, just fantastic. He's done that a few times with Paddy. And I know, you know, it's just a very generous person. This is a lovely little knife. I've been carrying it an awful lot because it's very UK friendly. It's sort of like a 2-inch blade. It's like very like the little Asonzo or something like that. The problem with the Asonzo is it comes in 2 versions. There's this one, which I love. It's dead easy to open. It's dead easy to use. It's a tiny little sub 2-inch blade, but it locks. Now, Heine Haynes did a double detent version of it. The double detent is okay, but where they really went wrong in my book is that they changed the scales to G10, and they're very, very grippy G10, so I had one, but I gave it away. I didn't really like it, but this one I really do like, because apart from anything else, though I may not have much dexterity and I can't Spidey flick it like some people can, I can open it with one hand, and I can use it like that. And that to me would make it a great everyday carry knife. Now, as we've been in lockdown for a year, I've been able to carry knives like this all the time. But as we've been going back out, particularly during the campaign, this has been the knife that's been in my pocket, because, you know, there's no way, no matter what happens, anybody is ever going to argue this is anything other than UK legal. It's immediately foldable. It's got a very small blade. Though it's a point, it's hardly a stabby point. You know, this is not something which anybody's going to accuse you of, you know, carrying a lethal weapon. And it also has a wee tang, extended tang here, which makes it, again, I know people look at it and think, well, cack-handing git, but, you know, I can open it, and I can also close it with one hand, which is quite good, considering I've only got one hand that works. So there's that. Now, I quite like these knives with the extended tangs. I've got a few, like for example, this one I've had for a while, the tack raise, which it's a great little knife, the tack raise. I got this one of UK legal carry knives. I mean, I gave him something in return for it, but he actually gave it to me in the first place. I didn't. He hated it. He thought it was terrible. So he sent it to me for review, and I said, well, I quite like it. And he said, well, keep it. So I did. I mean, I did send him something else in return, but it's a lovely knife. It's 1095 steel with a black coating of some variety. I couldn't tell you what it is, but sharpened up nicely with that workshop precision knife sharpener. Got a really nice polished edge on it actually, and I use this quite a lot. It lives on my desk, and funnily enough, when my wife wants a knife, this is the one she tends to go for, because again, like I've just been saying with these other knives, this is easy to open and close, because there's nothing holding it open, there's nothing holding it closed except that tang. But with that tang and with that forward choil, it's fine. Now, this is probably UK legal to carry, but there is a slight worry about it, in that if you measure the cutting edge along the cutting edge and round the corner and to the end, I think it probably stretches the 3-inch thing, and it kind of looks a bit threatening-y. So I tend not to think of this as a very UK friendly carry knife, unlike the little Kaiser, which is undoubtedly so. But following on that extended tang theme, that's where I was rambling, I was getting to, I picked up a couple of these. This is the Extreme Ratio, I think it's the BD01, I think it is, BD0R, and it has the little extended tang. Now again, this would make a nice little UK legal carry knife if it wasn't for the fact that it has one of those pesky little locks. I mean, yes, it is a bit pointy and stabby looking, but that blade is 2 inches long. It's not a great, you know, weapon looking thing. But actually being small makes it slightly more difficult to open and close. But that's just because my cack-handed hands. So I've got that one, but I've also got this one. This one is it's Big Daddy BD4R. So that was the 0R. This is the 4R. The 0R has a 2-inch blade. Oops. This one has obviously rather a long 5-inch blade. Extremely stabby. I certainly wouldn't want to get stopped in the street holding one of these. I think I would just, you just go straight to jail. Don't even bother to ask for leniency. You ain't going to get it. But it just sort of, I don't know, it's just a collection piece. It's not something I'm ever likely to carry, ever. But it's just an example. This one has the aluminium scales, the super long stabby blade, and it reminds me very much because, well, if you hold it like this, the distance from your thumb to the point is pretty much the same as with a Fairbairn Sykes combat knife. It's about the same length overall. Obviously this is a much longer handle and a slightly shorter blade. It's a 5-inch blade instead of a 7-inch blade. But by the time you hold it back here, which is, where the thumb indent is, or I suppose you could like this, but actually I think it works well like that. You've got the same point to thumb distance as a Fairbairn Sykes knife. So that's a proper, sort of fighting knife. But again, I say, not something I ever like to carry. It just goes in my little collection. I think if there were ever to be any sanity in the UK and locking knives were allowed, the little BDO would be likely to feature in my everyday carry regime, because it is just a nice little knife. These are, as in all Extreme Ratio knives, just about. There's probably an exception to this. They're N69 TCO, which they kind of have decided is their favoured steel, and I think just about everything they make is made in it. It is open and closable with one hand. Funnily enough, the big beast is very much easier to open and close with one hand. I think partly because it's got that momentum, just once you get it moving, it is just going to open. And I'm sure if you had normal hands, you could probably almost, front flick it open. But if you just sit and fiddle with it for a bit, you very quickly pick up that degree of muscle memory. Anyway, so those are those. I'll just put that out of the way because it takes a lot of room. And the little baby. What else have we picked up? Well, I went down the book. Oh no, I tell you what, before I go into that, if I go back to what I was saying about the Isonzo and the little Kaiser, I suppose the daddy of all of these little type of knives. This one is designed by Jesper Voxnäs, and it's quite a distinctive style of knife. It's available with that sort of cleaver blade or with a pointy blade. If I had the pointy blade, it would look very much like this knife, which is also a Vox knife. This one is made by Fox, and it's called the Suru, and it's one of those knives that even I can flick open. Now this is a lock knife, so again it's a 2-inch blade. Again, it's not legal to carry in the UK. I got this one from Love Them Knives in America. Now there was a UK version of this that Heine Haynes did, which is a detent friction folder, and again with that nice big finger choil at the front there, it actually makes quite a practical knife for a friction folder, and I really would quite like one of those. At the time they looked horrendously expensive and I didn't buy one, and it's one of those things that, you know, you see it, you don't buy it, and then you regret for years after that you didn't pick one up. But there we are, I didn't. So I've got that one. I really like that. It's a nice little knife. I still think though, probably, despite the fact that it's not titanium handled and whatever, it's just plastic, I probably prefer the Azonzo. Plus I like liner locks. I know people complain about them being not as strong as a frame lock. Well, that's probably true, but you know, how much effort are you going to put into a blade like that to try and fold it, where the liner lock's likely to fail? I mean, I've never had one fail on me, and I don't expect them going to. Right, what else will we have a look at? Oh, I'll tell you what, let's look at the budget end. A little while back, I got one of these Brother knives in white smooth bone, and I got it. I thought it was really. I was really quite impressed with that. I thought it was a really quite nice little knife. I mean, it's just a. Don't know if I can get my hands into the screen here and open this. It's just a little slip joint. Nice little half stop. Pretty good fit and finish, all considered. I mean, these are all sub £30. The thing I like about them is that they've got a half decent blade steel, and that they're VG10. One of my problems with a lot of slip joints is they're either 1095 or they're 420HC or 440A or something like that. And I always think, if there's one thing I would just change in them, it's just to put a slightly better steel in them. And this is something they've done, and they kept it at a decent price. Now, that was nice. So I saw this one came along. This one is pretty much the same deal, but in green canvas micarta. And again, if I can get it half into screen, you never know. There we are. Again with a half stop, again a slip joint, again with a good strong action, and again in VG10 steel, and it's the 1510 is the model. This one was, can't see it now, 1508. I can't think what the 1509 was. There might have been a lock back. But I like the white bone one. I'm rather less impressed with this one. It's probably got a slightly more practical drop point blade shape, a nice little swedge, but I just think, you know, a couple of things like the shield. I mean, I don't like shields. I'd rather they just didn't put one in than put one in badly. I don't like them in the main anyway, so I wouldn't have missed it. Fit and finish is okay, it's nothing to write home about, but the shield did sort of annoy me. Can't remember what the action is. Okay, centering, yeah, I was thinking the centering was off. Centering's off quite a bit. I mean, I could sort that, it's not the end of the world. This one slightly off as well, but to the other side, but not quite as much. It's almost dead centre. I mean, that I thought was a really good knife. This I think is, I mean, it's okay. If you just wanted a knife to stick in your pocket and you were looking at that sort of budget price, I'd probably rather have a Rough Rider, although this does have VP10 steel. So anyway, there we are. That's budget end. And let's look at some more budget, will we? This one is a Boker Magnum. A Boker Magnum, I think, are remarkably good value for money. You get an awful lot for very, very little money. Now, I don't know what this one cost because it was a gift at Christmas. It's a lockback again, which makes it a collection piece rather than a user. But it would actually be a very good user, I think. You know, it's quite a practical sort of size. It's quite good looking. It's not particularly threatening. It's got this work done on I take it that's cast. I don't really know, but it's, you know, it's nice. It's 440A, so it's Rough Rider territory in terms of the steel. But you know, these Boker Magnums do come in at very attractive prices, and it's got nice action. The fit and finish is pretty good, and certainly nothing to complain about. And I understand from the person that gave it to me that he got a very good deal on it. So nice wood scales, actually. I mean, I don't know what sort of wood that is. Whether it's one of these sort of packer wood type woods, I don't know, but it's got a nice bit of grain to it. Feels nice, looks nice, little lanyard hole. There's nothing to not like about it. It's just a nice little knife. And I mean, I'd say you could argue 440A is budget steel, but it's a budget knife. So that's what you get when you... Perfect. Nice little knife. Now, again, on the budget end, a couple of these. This was Paddy got me onto these. These are Whitby knives. Now, Whitby knives are... Well, Whitby is in Yorkshire, on the Yorkshire coast. It's the place where Dracula came to Britain. It's famous for its abbey, and it's famous for its jet jewellery and things like that. But Whitby is a fishing village, really, and they do some nice little knives. People keep telling me that they're probably a rip-off of another brand. I haven't seen one that's so much like this that I would call this. It's not a clone or anything like it. But these are, I think off the Whitby site, they're about 25 or 30 quid, but you can buy them on Amazon for about half that, which is where I got these two from. And it's just a nice, pretty little, quite modern looking slip joint knife. Again, UK legal. It's, you know, it's the sort of factory assembled, so they're not hafted sort of knives. These are the pieces assembled together, but they're assembled together pretty well. I quite like the little orange screws. It adds just a little bit of colour. It's got a nice clip to it. It's a good clip, actually. Sabre ground blade. I don't know what the steel is. It doesn't say. I can't imagine it's anything. Can't imagine it's anything spectacular, but you know, it does the job. Comes nice and sharp. They've got a good action to them. Half stop? No half stop, just cam tang. Well, I don't like half stops. I mean, I know that people say they're a sign of quality. They're not at all. It's absolute rubbish. You could make this into a half stop knife simply by taking a file to the end of that tang and flattening it off. If you did that, it would suddenly become a half stop. My worry with half stops is when you close the blade, if you've got a powerful half stop, you push the first part of the closing, say with your thumb, like this, and it then fires that blade. Sorry, I'm not doing this very well. You can fire that blade into your hand there, and you get a nasty little cut on your finger. And I've done that I don't know how many times. My JE Made is it's got a really snappy action, and that gets you every time. So, oops, that's one of the Whitby knives. The other one is this. Now this is more like a copy of another knife. It looks very much like one of the James brand knives, and you can get this instead of that grey metal scale, which was all that was in stock when I got it. You can get it with various woods, and that's the way the James brand ones are generally done, with a piece with a bit of rosewood or ebony wood or various other things. But again, this is a nice little slip joint knife. Nothing special to write home about. It's just a nice little knife. Again with a cam tang. Again the Whitby made. Again, no note of the steel on it. I'm guessing it's like it's 420 or 440A or something like that. But you know, it works. It'll satin finish, all covered in fingerprints because I've got grubby fingers and I didn't clean them. Little easy open notch in the handle there. Oops, a light. I should have got my light tent out, but I didn't because I was just trying to run off a quick video as quick as I could. So I've just set this up with 4 lights on my desk. So nice little, and that's quite a small knife as well. I mean, this is a proper, what I would call a gentleman's pocket knife. I mean, I know lots of people have lots of ideas about what constitutes a gentleman's pocket knife and what doesn't, but this is what I would say constitutes a gentleman's pocket knife. These are the little things, you know, it's similar to the little 2-blade equal end pen. Actually, here's one. I'll bring this one out because you haven't actually seen this. This is one I just picked up the other day. A little mother of pearl equal end pen. Let's take some of these out of the way. Give us a bit of room here. I'll get them back in a second, so don't worry, you've not missed anything. You won't miss anything. But like a little pen knives. Little pen knives that gentlemen stick in their pockets. So, just put those out of the way again. Yeah, this one, it's a little IXL Winston equal end pen. Really nice little knife. Like it very much. I just picked it up through Slip Joint Collectors UK. Came in a it's like new old stock. It came in its original Winston box. I mean, it's obviously a box that's seen a little bit of wear over the years, but it still did its job and protected the little penknife, which is a gorgeous little thing. And while we're on the subject of gentlemen's penknives, I picked up this earlier this year. Now, it was produced for the coronation of Edward VII, so that's 1901 he became king, but he was actually crowned in June 1902, followed on from Victoria. And it has the dates of all the kings and queens of England, right from William the Conqueror, right the way through to Edward VII at the bottom. So, why is this significant? Well, my stepfather was a quintessential English gentleman, though he was a Napier, so has Scottish ancestry, but he carried a knife very like that throughout his entire life. I think, I don't know if his would have been George the VI, or whether it would have been Queen Elizabeth II, but probably George VI, I would think, would have been the one that he had. But I got that because it's very much what he would have carried, and these sort of knives are in that kind of ballpark, although this is a little bit heavier, but nonetheless. So I picked that one up through there. UK Slip Joint Collectors Club, but a really nice little thing to add to my little collection. So, what else has been picked up as new? Right, well, here's something. I might have done a video on this, I can't remember. This is a GEC number 12. Now, I don't collect GECs because I knew if I do, I'll end up bankrupt in no time because there are just so many of them out there to collect. and I'd end up with a lot. I have 3. I have an 85 bullet end jack, I have a 62 easy open Congress, and this number 12, which I love this sort of teal coloured camel bone, and it's a toothpick. No half stop, but a cam tang. Now, there are 2 problems with toothpicks in my book, and I've got a few. I've got from a baby one right up to a couple of 5 inches, but that Tobias sent me. This one was sent me by Warthog, this little one here. It's a Shatton Morgan. But one, I find them a bit difficult to open because the handles are kind of narrow, and also I find that the blade is really quite thin and not the most practical of blades unless you have the big 5 inches. But the 5-inch handle ones with 4-inch blades are way too big to carry in the UK. These are the sort of maximum size that you can really carry. But where the number 12 I think wins out is it's just a little bit fatter and the blade is just a little bit broader, and it just makes it that much more of a practical knife. Though I have to say, this is a beautiful knife. It's really, really pretty. Anyway, that's new. And then put that away, put this away. Getting towards the end here, just a couple more and I want to show you. This is the Spyderco Urban. I bought a squeak for my wife and one for my daughter at Christmas. I gave my son-in-law one of these. I gave my son the Luna, Real Steel Luna. I kind of regret that because I'm not sure that was... I don't like it. I mean, a lot of people seem to think it's the greatest knife out these days. I was very disappointed with it. I've sharpened it for him and cleaned it for him. Of course, being D2, it's sort of... he works on a building site. He's a landscape gardener, so it gets hard use. The Wasps do that much, much better. And the little Eldris spoon by... can't remember who the Eldris is made by. Scandinavian. Mora Kniven. Anyway, this is it's a nice enough little knife. Easy to open with that Spidey hole, although I can't do it one-handed. That's just a matter of fingers aren't strong enough. The squeak is perhaps even harder because it's just that little bit smaller. But it's a good little knife. It's not as threatening looking as the UK PK. I had the Heine Haynes version of the UK PK. Sold it on because it bright red scales and it just looked a bit too aggressive to me. And in the current climate we're in, that's a bit difficult. The only other Spyderco I have is this, which is one I bought for my wife many, many years ago. And it's a tiny little one, of course. As small as it is, it's a lockback, so it's not legal, despite the fact that it's compared to the Urban, it's titchy tiny. This is legal. This is illegal. Incidentally, I noticed this is about 20, maybe more than 20 years old. No pocket clip, which I just find that a little bit odd. Also, it's a serrated chisel ground blade, which is maybe not my favourite. Also, it's pinned, so you couldn't take the knife to bits. Although you could call it an integral knife because the handle is made in one piece. There are only 2 pins in it, one for the lockback mechanism and one for the pivot itself. Right, now this one is made in Maniago, Italy, which fits in with my buying policies. So European knives are okay. I like British knives, but I also like Japanese knives. Now the little red one was made in Seki City in Japan, which is probably made by, I think they're made by Moki, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So feel free to correct me. But I like Moki knives. I've had a couple over the period. That one, the Christmas one. And there's a little baby one somewhere. Oh yes, there it is. The little baby pendant. Now this, you've seen videos on both of those. This one I picked up from the one of the Facebook pages from a guy in Germany. It was a three-way swap. I can't remember what I swapped for what, but I sent mine off to somebody in England, he sent his off to somebody in Germany, and Germany sent his off to me in Scotland. There's a really, really nice looking little knife with a swedge polished blade. It's in VG10 steel, which is, you know, okay. Wouldn't go overboard, but it's nice enough. But just a really nicely made knife. Bone stack handles. It's quite a lot more sort of shaping has gone into this one than in the pliant, which is just a sort of slightly simplified version. You know, the shape of the handle is simpler. The blade doesn't have the swedge, and this one is in Os 8, I think. Yeah, Os 8. AUS 8 instead of VG10. So that's why this one is a more expensive knife, but because I do a trade for it, it's a knife I probably wouldn't have paid out cash for because it's just a little bit too expensive. But in a trade, that was fine. Of course, both those were lockbacks, so they're not ones I can carry in the UK. But the one thing that links these together is that they are Japanese, and I say that follows on from the Spyderco, which was Japanese. I have a thing for Japanese knives. I have a few. I have a couple of Higa Nakamis, for example, and I have the Rocksteads, of course, that you'll have seen, which I'm very fond of. But while we're on lockdown, I've taken the opportunity to carry some of these knives. This one's been carried on an awful lot and be used an awful lot, and it's really, really a very good knife. As is this, by the way, just a bit smaller. This is the old aluminium, whereas the other one's, the Higa is titanium. But I picked up two other Japanese knives over the period. This one I got at Christmas. It's Acoustic. It comes in a nice brocade bag, which I've put away in a cupboard somewhere. This is a detent knife, but it's one of these ones with the extended tang. So it's like a friction folder. It's like a friction folder detent knife, and as is common with Acoustic knives, it's a Sanmai construction with a VG10 core. So I really like this one. This is probably UK legal. It's right on the margin. As I say, as I've always said, you know, I'd probably get away with it, but I wouldn't necessarily lend it to my son. But it's a nice, easy knife to open and close and use. And for that, and of course, without having that extended tang, it's perfectly safe. It's not going to fold over on you or anything like that, which is just as well, because they do come pretty blooming sharp. But that's a really nice knife. I picked that up. I got a voucher from Piney for Christmas, and I used that for that. And then I picked up this one from Seven Ready in Switzerland, the Swiss doctor, who I'm not very coordinated with these things, but this is I'll put it down, it probably looks better. This is quince wood burl, and it's also nicely shaped. It's got sort of a series of hollows, 4 hollows in there, but it's also shaped around this way as well. It's a really nice handle. This one's a liner lock though, so for that it's not UK legal, plus it's also a little bit on the large side. And cutting edges over the 3 inches. It's indisputably not a UK legal knife. Plus it's got a liner lock, of course, which really finishes it off. There's no way that you can get away with calling that UK legal. It's just not going to not going to wash. So it has a very nice reversible clip. So I've reversed it to the left hand because my right hand's paralysed. But the other thing that this one has, again, it's a Sanmai blade. Again, it has a VG10 core, but this one is a Damascus steel. Now I got it in spite of it being Damascus, rather than because it's Damascus. I really don't like Damascus steel. I quite like the Sanmai blade, but I would probably have preferred it without the... I don't think it's that pretty. And what really annoys me is that you take two perfectly good steels and you mix them together to make an inferior steel. The whole purpose of Damascus originally was to homologize to the elements of different steels in order to make as close to a uniform steel as you can get. Now when we have powdered metal steels and we have crucible steels, that's just not necessary, and instead you're taking two good crucible or powder metal steels and mixing them together in a way that makes them less homogeneous than they would be if you'd left them alone. So for that reason, just philosophically it irritates me. So that's the Japanese editions. So we're now up to about 6 or 8 Japanese knives. Then I got another one which I thought was Japanese, certainly was marketed as being Japanese, but it's Japanese in influence rather than Japanese in actual style. It's actually made in China, which came as a bit of an annoyance to me. The carbon fibre scale on the front, but it's just peel ply over G10. Again, we've got the cam tang. Again, this one is nice and easy to open. It's a kind of sort of cutthroat razor, although it does remind me of the cotton samplers knives from Rough Rider. I mean, it's squarer, but that with this big long empty piece of blade, so that you've only got a 2-inch cutting edge on a 3-inch blade. But I like it. I mean, it's a nice knife, but it's Tokisu, by the way, is the name of the maker. And it's 7CR17 MOV steel, stainless steel. Again, it's a liner lock. If it wasn't a liner lock, this would probably be UK legal. This is one that probably would have worked well as a detent knife, because you do get a good chunk of a knife. You can choke up on it if you want. You can hold it back here. It's nice and solid. It's got that long tang, so as a detent knife that would have worked well. But it's just a shame it's not quite what it was presented as. Now, that's the final of my Japanese knives. Anyway, final bit, I picked up some more Taylor's Eyewitness knives. As you know, I love Taylor's Eyewitness knives. I already have several of these, the slim Barlows. I like these as a knife. They're a very nice, easy carry in the pocket. This one is an oxhorn with a plain back. I've another one in oxhorn with a worked back, and I've got several others in different materials. But I like these because they're a relatively, for a Taylor's Eyewitness, a relatively easy open, long thin blade, very good fruit knife, a letter opener knife, office knife, pocket knife if you're wearing a suit. Works really well. So I also picked up, at the same time as that one, in a trade with somebody else, another older of these Barlows, similar action, cam tang again, of course. So very similar knife, except this has the shape of the full Barlow bolster, which I quite like, which they don't do anymore. The slim bolster, slim Barlows are now like that. I don't know what the covers on this are. They could be buffalo horn, but I suspect they're actually just plastic. But I don't know. The other thing about this one is, although it's still slim, it does have the secondary blade, which is a little pen. Oops. Which is really awkward to open, but it is a little pen blade. I'm not sure of the necessity for that, but you know, like I say, I didn't have a choice of several to pick from. These came as a little batch. So that pair arrived, and I also picked up this. Now I have a couple of these sort of Turner's Eyewitness pen knives. This is quite an old pattern, has a sort of a Warncliffe main blade, and then a little pen blade at the other end in a sway back, in a sort of serpentine rather design frame. Again, this one's a work back one. This one you've seen before. This isn't new. Nice little knife. And then, but the new one that I picked up, or new, it's not new, it's old. This is a horn handled twin blade knife, and it has, as its main blade, a long clip with Taylor's Eyewitness on the, actually stamped into the blade. I like the stamps on the blade like that. I don't like etches, but I do like stamps. Most obviously it's not in its first flush of youth, but it's a nice, really nice knife. And actually, for a pen knife, it's almost the same size blade as the Slim Barlow, which makes it quite a good little carry knife, because it's, again, it's slim and light, like a pen knife, but I say with a decent blade and a secondary, which again is not indecent, pen blade. Now that is, I think, a quick update. At some point I will get around to doing proper reviews of all of these knives, but for now I've got to going to do a bit of editing, because this is going to be about 45 minutes long when it's all, even when it's edited. So I'll do that, put it up and leave it all there for you, and I will get around to doing full reviews of all of these in due course when the campaign is over. If I win, I will end up obviously with even less time. If I lose, I may have a bit of time on my hands to do a few of these, so you never know, you might see more of me. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you stuck it this far, I'm really impressed. Thank you very much. Bye.